So how did the polls lead us astray, including our CBS News poll, which is considered to be one of the best in the industry? Anthony Salvanto is our director of elections. In other words, he is our polling expert. So Anthony, the polls got the popular vote nearly right, but missed badly on how the states were going to fall in terms of the electoral vote. What went wrong?
Well, if you look at the states that were polled right up until almost Election Day, they showed the tightening toward Donald Trump, including our own, very tight in places like Ohio and Florida. But the states that Donald Trump flipped that surprised everybody, places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, maybe Michigan, those didn't have as much late polling. And I think pollsters may have written them off, figured they were reliably Democratic. And what we should have done or could have done is go back and try to pick up any late movements there.
There were a lot of undecided voters in this election, and if I understand you correctly, they were moving in those reliably Democratic states, and they weren't being polled at that time.
Well, what we saw in much of the polling was this movement towards Donald Trump, which in fact ended up continuing right through Election Day. But there was also a turnout issue. Many of the Democratic respondents in polls who said they were coming out for Hillary Clinton, when I looked at those turnout patterns on election night, in place after place, Hillary Clinton's vote share was going down. So those Democrats did not show up, not en masse, but just enough to cost her.
They said they were going to go to the polls when the pollster asked them, and then they didn't show.
Exactly.
How can polling fix this next time?
Well, I think we could be a little more discriminating about who we ask and who we think is going to show up. If, in fact, there is going to be an enthusiasm gap, if, in fact, there are going to be people who tell pollsters that they're coming and they do not show up, then we can do a better job of modeling the electorate and making sure that we keep in only those people who are, in fact, going to turn out.
A science and an art. Anthony Salvanto, our Director of Elections. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Scott.